That work? Hey, is this thing working? See if anybody. Hey, mom, how's it going? Give me a something saying that you can hear me. I don't know. Don't know if you can hear me. See if you can hear me. All right. Oh, thanks, Jess. All right, cool. Whole family showing up, representing. Um, I can see you, mom. Yes, absolutely. So, welcome. Yeah, it's been a minute. I have not had a show. Sounds all official. I haven't done a stream in a little while, so I thought I might just jump on, say hi to everybody. Good for my mental health to talk to peeps and all that stuff. So, anyway, welcome. If you've never, yeah, my whole family's showing up. Rach, Jesse, Billy, everybody, the whole fam up in here. So, oh, the wife's here too. The wife's here. Okay, so we got to do this. Shout out to my wife, Jennifer. We just celebrated our 20th year anniversary. Been together 22 years, I think. Don't kill me, honey, if I'm off a year there, but we've been married 20. So this past week we did that. It was great. Had a good time. Went out to eat. So I'll talk a little bit about that. But can you believe it? Somebody can put up with my BS for 20 years, living with me in the same house for 20 years. And not only living with me, but dealing with my mood swings, breaking shit when pissed. Oh, I said the S word. That's not good. Well, wait, are we 2 or 3 minutes in? Yeah, we're good. We're good. So I think YouTube gets mad if you say the S word or any profanity within the first 60 seconds or so. They get mad. But yes, together 22 years. Good, I got it right. All right, so I'm not in trouble already. But yeah. So my wife definitely out of my league, but I do love her and love you, honey. Glad you're with me and glad we made it 20 years. And here's to 20 plus more. So let's hit that 50. That is if I don't die. All right. So let's talk a little bit about how things are going. So overall, like I don't know if you're new to the channel, like let me just give you kind of a quick intro. So for the last 3 years, been on a health journey. So this is definitely not a New Year's resolution or anything like that. I started in 2023. I was 225 pounds at 5'8", 46 years old. And basically, I've lost and kept off 60 pounds. And I've put on roughly 15 pounds of muscle verified by DEXA scan. So before everybody roasts me and they're like, how do you know you put on 15 pounds of muscle? It's via DEXA scan. Not perfect, but it's better than saying the fish is this big, as people do. So unlike my mom's friend on Instagram, I maybe mom, you could put his Instagram in the chat here. He does actually catch fish that are like huge fish. Anyway, blew me away. But yeah, so I've lost 60 pounds. I went from 225 pounds. The lowest I've ever been was 159. I clocked in at 159 at my last diet was last spring, summer. I got down to 7% body fat, and that was brutal. So I did get down to 7%, but I did it in 16 weeks, 18 weeks. And yeah, I went from 188 pounds to 159 fully depleted. Fully carved was like 163, 164. I think my DEXA scan, I was 163 pounds, but I was at 7.1% body fat. So like zero visceral fat, pretty crazy. And so I've been, thus far, yeah, there he is, Ron gone fishing. Yeah, that's awesome. But since then, I've been working, I focus on hypertrophy based muscle bodybuilding, basically. Not to use fancy words. A lot of people use fancy words on YouTube these days. I'll keep it plain. I do a lot of I want to put on as much muscle as I can. And the theory is that I want to go into my 60s and 70s with my body knowing what it's like to have a lot of muscle, so that it's easier for me to build back muscle if I were to fall and go to the hospital or something and have to have some atrophy. because that's what kills people, right? When they end up in the hospital in their 70s and 80s, they sit around, they get pneumonia, they get atrophy, then they can't walk, then they die. So I don't want that to happen. So therefore, my hope is that I can build enough muscle on my frame to where my body remembers this muscle and can rebuild it quickly if I lose it. So anyway, so yes, currently in a cut. I am. Let's see. This morning I weighed in. Let's take a look at the stats. Let's take a look at the stats. So let me flip over to a new view. Okay, so here are the stats. And yeah, the camera doesn't really like it when I do that. So let me do this, and then let me do this, and that should fix it. There we go. So yeah, let's take a look at the stats. So here are the stats. This morning I weighed 176.3 pounds. I think, well, ChatGPT believes that I am in the 13-ish% body fat. That means I've got about 153 pounds of lean mass on me. My current sports supplement load is 560 milligrams a week, which is very conservative. I am in the 4th week of my cut. This says cruise. That's a bug. I need to fix that. And I'm 5'8". So things are going well. So if I look at my analytics, this is my weight. This is my weight trend. That's my lean mass trend. Just kind of ignore that because I'm guessing at body fat percentage, and that's what the lean mass is based on. But if you look, very, very solid. I started on April 28th was when I started my cut. And so you can see I started at 184. And at my lowest, I was 174.5, and now I'm 176.3. But that is after a couple 300 grams of carb days. So I'm probably carrying 50 to 60% glycogen load. So basically, my muscles are about I estimate 50 to 60% loaded with water. So I probably am closer to this 174 if I were to basically not eat any carbs for a day or two, which I'm going to do today. Today is a non-training day, so I won't be eating very many carbs, probably under 100 grams, which is brutal, but you know, it's how you get the fat loss train going. So as you can see, pretty steady trend here. So if we do the math, this was probably fully glycogen loaded. This was probably unglycogenated. So I probably was really starting at about 180 pounds. And my low weight is 174 pounds. So you could probably estimate that I've lost about 4.5 pounds. So that's about a pound, 1.1 pound average per week, which is very good. Any more than that, I tend to think that especially when you're already pretty lean, like 13% body fat is pretty lean. If you're that lean and you try to push it harder than that, you risk muscle loss, and that's not fun. So I think 1.1, 1.2 pounds per week is good. So that means if I continue my current trend, I got 4 more weeks to go. So that'll be 4 pounds more. So I should be fully depleted. I should be about 170 pounds, which is about 2 pounds under what I estimated I would have to lose. But that's okay. Like, I think we'll keep this trend going. Let's see. Blood pressure, everything's good. My sleep has been fine. Like, I haven't had, if you tuned into my previous, streams where I was talking in my severe cut, there towards the end, I was waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, couldn't go back to sleep. That's from just all the stress, on my body from being so lean. You tend to not sleep. So if you watch a lot of bodybuilders when they're in prep, they're getting ready for their show, they get way below 7%. And when they do that, you'll notice they're doing their cardio at like 3 or 4 in the morning. The reason why is because they can't sleep. Their body wakes them up because it's like, hey, it's time to eat, right? Time to go kill I was going to say an elephant, but that's a little bit too big a game. I'd say like it's time to go kill like a wild boar so you can get some food up in you, or a deer or something. So that's just a natural evolution of our bodies. We're not meant to be lean. And when we're lean, our body's like, I don't want to be lean, and you need to wake up and go kill something and eat so that we don't be lean no more. Glucose is fine. Like, when I was fully carbed up, I was eating a ton of carbs. I was averaging about 105 glucose reading. So, it's a little high, a little elevated, but I've always run a little bit high. Even at 7% body fat, Hey, John, how's it going, man? Even at 7% body fat, I was running in the low 100s. My family, I think my little sister is kind of like this too. We run at a little bit higher glucose rate, which is probably not good, but I don't know what to do about it. Anytime I've tried to artificially push my glucose down using things like Lantus or like a slow acting, slow release insulin, I felt like total garbage. So if I push my glucose into the 80s, I feel terrible. Like I can't think, my brain doesn't work. Like and your brain runs off primarily glucose, so that's not a good thing. So anyway, so where are we from the show? So let's take a look at that. So I'm tentatively penciling in May 14th, 15th of. Sorry, I forgot. John goes by Eddie. Sorry about that, John. I'm penciling in the Ronnie Coleman Classic, which is in May of 2027. So that means I am 50 weeks out, 6 days, 50 weeks and 6 days out from that. So if we take a look at my plan here, you'll see. Forget the name. I was just kind of making jokes, but this timeline here is what I use to kind of track how I'm going to go. So right now I'm in my cut. And I plan to do that until June 22nd, at which time I will then turn around and try to go into a growth phase. So I'll eat more calories than I burn, use a little bit more sports supplement, and push my body weight and hopefully my muscle mass up. And then I'll do that for, I estimate, about 16 weeks. It just depends on my blood pressure looks like. I'm very conscious about that. I usually run blood work around 8 to 10 weeks in just to see how my kidneys are doing and things like that to make sure everything's cool. And then if things aren't cool, I cut it off and I go into basically a health phase where I eat at maintenance, maybe a little bit over, drop the sports supplements down to just a basic level, and then I kind of level out. And then we'll transition to a 20 to 22 week show prep. So this is where I will make my journey down into the depths of heck, where I will need to get down to 3 to 4% body fat, which I've never been to before. So we will see how that works out. I don't know what that's going to be like, but we will land. But 20 to 22 weeks is a great. I think it's very doable. That gives me maybe like a diet break in the middle of like a week or two to maybe feed up, or maybe just keep going depending on the weight loss progression. Just keep going and then feed up into the show, because that's what I'd like to do. Is I'd like to get to 3 to 4% body fat like 3 weeks before the show, and then use the last 3 weeks to feed up into the show so that I wash off all the fatigue and my body looks primo and everything's cool and I look the best I can on stage. I may not do the Ronnie Coleman Classic. This is what's called an NPC show, which is like a pretty big circuit bodybuilding. That might be a bit much for my first show. So I might do something in like a more minor league stuff. We'll see, but it's going to be in the same time frame. So I think just having a point in time to shoot for is important. So it's good, man. Like I think this helps me. It gives me a long-term goal to shoot for. It feels like I'm working towards something, and I think that's going to be helpful for me, because I felt like in my last growth phase, it was tough because I was just kind of like, I was just kind of eating and growing, and I was like, I don't really know. Like, I know I'm going to go 16 to 19 weeks of doing this, but I don't have a target. Like, what's my goal? So now I have a goal. I have a timeline, right? And that I work best on goals and objectives. So anyway, so yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And then, so this is kind of just showing, like, I'm in my mini cut right now, a total of 8 weeks. I might extend this a little bit, and then cut into my growth phase a little. It just depends on my progression through this diet, but we'll see how that goes. We'll do an 8-week health phase. I might extend that to 10 if things don't look good. I'll do a little bit longer, and then, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to try to like go from unhealthy into a downward trend into even more unhealthy, into a show prep, because it is unhealthy to get to 4% body fat. Like, some people can walk around at 4% and they're totally cool. But I'm not one of those people. So 4% is going to be very unnatural for me. So it's hard on your body. Like, it's just not good. You're not sleeping. Your cholesterol is probably like super low. HDL is probably in the single digits. So it's just a tough place to be, and you don't want to spend much time there. So anyway, so that's the plan. All right. Excuse my water drinking. I've been kind of slacking on my steps a little bit. Um, Not on purpose, but just to kind of chill a little bit. I felt there was a couple days there where I felt real drained. So whenever I start feeling like that, I know I'm burning a little too hot. So I try to pull back steps. And when I say pull back, I mean 6 to 8,000. But today I'm pushing it a little bit to try to get a little bit of weight loss today. Because my carbs will be low. I try to use these non-training days for fat burning, because I can I don't need to fuel training. Yeah, I don't need to fuel training. So anyway, that's enough about that. Trying to think. I think that's good for that topic. So uh, let me flip over. So any questions? Like, I went through my thought process around around my show prep, but if anybody has any questions about um, anybody has any questions about this, then please ask away. Otherwise, I will talk about. I gotta fix this camera thing. Sorry. This. Okay. Um, Otherwise, I will talk about getting started. So some people might, so it's May. It's almost June. So we're almost halfway through the year. Um, some people may have made a New Year's resolution to say, "Hey, I'm going to get fit. I'm going to lose weight," and everything was going really well in January, and then you got sick, or you had family in town, or you just got busy at work and you fell off, and you're like, "Ah, crap." Um, the other side of that I see is people tend to get too wrapped up in details. So right now, I will keep them anonymous, but I'm passing guidance down to a younger individual who is starting his fitness journey. And I think what starts to happen is, like, there's a lot of analysis paralysis. There's so much information out there, and this is something that I suffer from too. And I've had to kind of, like, because I tend to get into the details of things. But you can go out to YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and there's a million people out there telling you how to do fitness, like how to do weightlifting, how to do weight loss, how to do all these things. And at the end of the day, it's okay to listen to that, but at the end of the day, you have to find what works for you, and it's got to be something that you can do consistently the rest of your life. Diets and weight loss is not I'm going to do this for 6 months, I'm going to lose a bunch of weight, and then I'm going to go back to the way I was. You can't do that. You basically have to, the way I think about it, you have to murder your old self, right? That's kind of like gruesome and brutal, but it's true. You basically have to kill I had to kill Fat Jake in order to become Fitness Jake, right? I had to change the way I looked at food. I had to change the way I looked at work, my family, what I do in my spare time, how I exercise, how I think about exercise. I had to basically change my persona from Fat Jake to Fitness Jake. So I would encourage you to do that, and start. I always tell everybody, like, start simple and start small and build. So, like, I can remember, this is going to seem like a flex, but it's not. But when I first started back in September of 2023, I got on the treadmill, and I set the treadmill to 3% incline for 10 minutes, and I couldn't do it. I could not do 10 minutes on a treadmill, 3% incline. I was dying. My heart rate was probably in the 150s. I wasn't tracking it at that time, but I'm sure it was. I was sweating. It was brutal. And then I was like, okay. And then like I did that over and over and over again. And then pretty soon I did 11 minutes. And I was like, okay, this is getting a little easier. And then I ticked up the incline to like 4. And I did. And then when I clicked it up to 10, 4 or 5, I can't remember, then I had to go back to 10 minutes because it was like my hamstrings were burning so bad. The back of my legs was burning. My quads were burning. Like I was getting, it was just brutal. Right. So like, but I did that every other day. Like I was like, I'll do this 3 or 4 times a week. And this is how I'll start. And then I started lifting weights. Now at the time I had a distal bicep tendonitis in this right arm here. That's this where your bicep ties in, and it's hard to see, where the bicep ties into your forearm right here. I had that from moving, so I couldn't do a lot of like upper body workout stuff, but that was okay. I focused on leg stuff, and because my legs had a lot of atrophy from just sitting. I have a desk job, so I didn't move much, and I lost a lot of muscle in my legs. But the great thing is, if the muscle was there, you can rebuild it, and you can usually rebuild it faster. So, and that's what's happened. Like I put on a pretty good amount of size on my legs. So, but I did that, and so I added a little bit of weight training in there. And so I just like slowly but surely just started building these habits. And then after 6 months of doing that, I blinked and it was like 6 months. And I was like, okay. And then it got to the point to where I was grumpy if I didn't get to do that. Like it became part of my routine, and I'm a very routine person, based person. So if I didn't do that, it basically ruined my day. So like I said, this is now I tend to go overboard on stuff. You don't have to go overboard. And the other thing is too, you have to find what works for you. So if somebody's like, "Oh, keto's the way," like go keto, no carbs, cut carbs completely. It's like you may not be able to do that. Like I tried that. Like if I don't eat carbs in the morning, I can't function at work. My brain, I need my brain to be on fire all the time so that I can work in a place that I work at, where everybody I work with is freaking smart and we all move a million miles an hour. Like, so I have to be able to perform like that. So a low carb diet will never work for me. It just won't. And that's okay. Guess what? I've been eating carbs the entire time and I've lost 60 pounds. Like you have to find what works for you. Now, for carbs specifically, I will asterisk that if you're not doing some weightlifting or resistance training, you don't need as many carbs. So you can lower it. But some carbs are okay. In fact, you need them to fuel your workouts or else you're going to feel like dog crap. So anyway, I see a question about Retatrutide. Yeah. So there's been some latest news. I guess they're starting to publish more and more of these studies about Retatrutide, which is Eli Lilly's product that's in clinical trials, and it's a pretty miraculous compound. Yeah, I've been using Retatrutide off and on for about 8 months, probably. Currently, I'm at 2.25 milligrams a week, which is very low. But this drug was meant for like people that are diabetic and severely overweight, obese. So this would have been a drug that would have been good for me, probably in higher doses when I was 225 pounds. Now that I'm 176 pounds, I don't need as much. But what I've found is that Retatrutide helps with some of the age-related weight stuff that we have to deal with in our older stages of life, i.e., I tend to carry a lot of fat in my lower back, and Retatrutide just fire hoses that off. Like now I have to eat right, I have to exercise, I have to do cardio, and I have to do resistance training, right? Without that, Retatrutide will only get you so far. And that's why you find these people like continuing to up their dose, is because they're plateauing and they need more and more and more to try to lose weight. But I got news for them. Like, you got to incorporate stuff, because the other thing Retatrutide does is it can accelerate your heart rate. It's turning your metabolism up to burn calories, like more calories when you're idle. And when you do that, you're turning up your system, and you need to be trying to stay healthy while you do that. Um, and then some people, they just stop eating. And then that's when they get the what's called the Ozempic face, where their face basically starts to melt, and it's because they're losing muscle definition everywhere. And so they have no collagen, like their collagen is breaking down because everything needs to be it's getting burned up, and they look like total crap. So yeah, I've been using Retatrutide for almost a year. No Ozempic face here, and the reason why is because I keep the doses low. I don't always use it, and I use it basically whenever I start to see my lower back fat kind of start to accumulate. I kind of start incorporating a lower dose, and that helps me manage that. What is the long-term effect? Nobody knows. Right now, the studies, it's insane. People are losing 20 to 30% of their body weight like in a year, and they're like hardly doing anything else. But the trick to all these weight loss things like Ozempic, tirzepatide, retatrutide, etc., is that you have to it goes back to what I was starting to say initially. You have to kill your old self. You have to murder that person and become somebody new. And when I say somebody new, I mean not like go from a homebody to a partier. No, I mean think differently about food. In other words, it's okay to have dessert sometimes. It's not okay to have dessert every night. You know, those types of changes, and you make those slow changes day after day, and you build healthy habits, etc. Or else, when you get off whatever compound it is, you're going to rebound way back to the way you were because your body's like, oh yeah, I remember this, and then you're going to be back to being heavy again. So yeah, you know, there's William should definitely talk to their doctor about you know, either Ozempic or tirzepatide or something like that, especially if he's diabetic. Like that's where retatrutide might come in, but it's not been released for prescription yet. But maybe he can get into the trials. I don't know. I've never tried to get into those trials. I would never be accepted anyway, unless they were trying to do some kind of study on non-obese people. But that's not a moneymaker for Eli Lilly because we have a lot of obese people in the world, and unfortunately, and it's not all their fault, man. Like we're constantly teased with food that tastes really good, that's loaded chock full of calories, fats, bad fats, and it's just the way it is. So, yeah. So anyway, that's what I would encourage you. Like if you're feeling overloaded, like just try stay simple and build every day. So like if somebody's like, gotta go keto, just be like, no, I think I'm just going to track what I eat for a week and see how much I'm eating and then weigh myself every day and then just watch how much I'm eating and watch what the scale does. And then just use a little math to figure out if I'm eating too much or not. If the scale's staying the same, I'm eating just the right amount. So I need to lower my calories a little bit. If the scale is going up, I'm eating too much. I need to lower the calories a little bit more. If my weight's going down and I'm eating X amount, like 2,000 calories a day, I'm going to just keep eating 2,000 calories a day until the scale stops going down. Once the scale stops going down, and when I mean stop going down, I mean like at least 2 weeks of not going down. You're going to do, if you see like, if you looked at my weight trend, it was like this, right? Your body's going to do that. In fact, while you're losing weight, and I had to learn this early, one of the hardest things was like there would be days, sometimes a week, where the scale would not move. Like I was just pissed off because it was like I remember I was stuck at 200. I could not get below 200 pounds. And so what did I do? I increased my cardio. I cut my calories. I pushed harder because I'm a grinder. So I will achieve at all costs. And what happened? My weight started going up. And I'm like, what the hell? Like I'm cutting my calories. I'm exercising more. Why is my weight going up? And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to chill on the workouts. I'm going to leave my calories where they are. I'm going to lower my steps a little bit. I'm just going to chill. And guess what? The next day I weighed in 4 pounds lighter. So it's like, wait, I lost 4 pounds in one night? No, I was losing fat that whole time, but I was so stressed out. My body was holding on to water. And so when I eventually chilled out, the water released, and you could tell, like I can always tell when I'm going to have a low day because I'm peeing nonstop the day before. And then the next morning when I weigh in, I'm like, yeah, I figured I was going to be light today. And it's just your body when it becomes stress. it holds on to water, and you have to chill and take the foot off the pedal a little bit to let that water leave, and then it's called a whoosh effect, and basically you lose the water, and you're like, and the weight loss is revealed. So it's okay to weigh yourself every day. I think it's good to weigh yourself every day. First thing in the morning when you first wake up, go to the bathroom, then weigh yourself, in as little clothes as you're comfortable with, and track it. Just track it. Like, or you know what? You can get a Garmin scale. Like I use it. I'm not endorsed by them or anything, but you can get a Garmin scale, and you can just put a piece of tape over it. And then you can weigh yourself every day, have it sent to Garmin, and not look at the app, and just log that. And then every week, maybe look at it. I don't know. If you can do that, that's cool. I can't do that. I have to look at it every day because I'm a data guy and I like to look at data and trend it and try to figure out stuff. But if you can do that, like do it that way, or have somebody else write down the weight. I don't know. But if you get freaked out by the scale, that might be a technique that you use. But weigh yourself every day, trend it over time, and then make that decision whether you're eating enough, too much, or too little. And just make adjustments and just try it. Like, just try something. Trying something is better than doing nothing. Right? I'm very ranty today. Like, what are we at today? We're going like, dude, I've been ranting for 31 minutes. Like, I'm on fire today. Yeah, cool. So other questions. Let's see. Sorry, I'm drinking in the mic, but I'm like kind of dehydrated. I was sweating this morning walking. It's kind of humid. Okay. Well, I don't see many questions, so I'll probably wrap it up here. But yeah, like I said, keep it simple. Try to limit, like, take in information from the internet with a grain of salt, man. Like, just listen to people and get their opinion, and don't immediately incorporate it. Just store it for a second, walk off, and be like, wonder if that makes sense. Because I fall into it too. I see like guys that I really look up to and girls that I really look up to. They're like, oh, you got to do this. Or they're like, I do this. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do that. And we want to model ourselves after people we respect and appreciate and like a lot, right? So it's easy to kind of fall into that trap of like immediately incorporating something in, but it might not be right for you, right? So just experiment. Like that's the best way to tell is to try something, stick with it for a little while, see how you react, take notes. Write a little. I have a little journal that I keep, and write down how you're feeling, write down your weight, how much you're eating, uh, how you felt when you ate this, or how you felt when you went this low on calories, how you felt after your exercise this, and just look at that and be like, oh, okay, I cut down my calories on this day and I went and exercised, fasted. And the next, I felt okay. But then the next day I felt like I was going to say something derogatory, but the next day I felt in the toilet. So maybe I shouldn't train fasted. Okay. Well, tomorrow I'm going to try training fasted again and see if that happens again. Try it. Yep. I felt like garbage the next day. Okay. Now I know I need a little bit of carbs to work out. So it's like, that's how you learn. And the bad thing is, like I went on a business trip with a guy. He doesn't eat until dinner. He fasts all day, works out in the morning, weight lifts, does cardio, does a bunch of stuff, and he doesn't eat. He eats one meal a day at night. And so like I could say, well, you know what? I'll try that. I'll try fasting all day and just eating at night and working out fasted all the time. That would not work for me. I can already tell you, I've tried working out fasted and I feel like garbage. Okay. So it's not for me, but for him, it works great. And that's the thing. Like we're all like these biologically unique species. Like we have to figure out what works for us. So anyway, okay. So that is enough of my rant. 34 minutes. I think that's good for today. Good. Welcome back to the stream. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. Keep up the great work. I know you can do it. And I will see you in the next video. See you later.